What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tristan Govender. For those of you who don't know, thank you for tuning into the channel. Today we've got an amazing video for you guys. I've got a 1969 BMW 2002 and we're going to be taking you guys through the whole car and what has been done to it. This is the newest addition to the collection and I'm really excited to show you guys what's been done to it and what plans we have for the future. So, as I said before, 1969 BMW 2002. This is a really special vehicle to us. As you know, we are big, huge BMW fans, and this car is special to me mainly because this is what started BMW Motorsports. Right, this along with the 3-liter CSL were the first BMW race cars used and the first sports cars BMW ever made. So this is really what started the progression of the BMW 3 Series to the M3 and all the new sports cars we see now. It stems from this car here. So the 2002 standing for 2-liter 2-door coupe, right? That's what the 2002 stands for. They also had this in the 1600 variant and a 1500 variant, being the 1500 02 and the 1600 02. So this is the top of the line, other than the TI and the TII. So this is the big boy engine, the 2-liter M10 engine. So it's paired with a 4-speed gearbox, open diff in the rear, and it goes. It's a light car. They weigh about 980 kgs, and they rip. This was in competition with the Ford Escort and the Ford Capri at the time, as you guys saw the previous videos on those cars. And this is what BMW brought to the show when they decided to go racing. These were originally used for rallying, and then they transitioned to track racing. But this is where BMW Motorsports stemmed from, this car right here, the BMW 2002. This is where BMW started experimenting with racing and doing different setups on the cars. And fun fact, this M10 engine, actually all the BMW 4-cylinder race engines were derived from this engine. This is a direct cousin of the S14 engine in the E30 M3, the M12 engine in BMW's fastest Formula 1 car, the most powerful Formula 1 car engine, which was a turbo 4-cylinder. It all stems from this M10 engine, and this M10 engine was what gave BMW the opportunity to develop and go into motorsports. So this car right here is a real historic factor in BMW Motorsports. Okay. So, as you can see here, we've got the infamous BMW M10 engine. So this is a 2-liter with a Solex 3640 carb. It's a tiny little carburetor that came stock with the vehicle. So the 2002 variants came stock with the Solex carb, then the TIs got the upgrade to the twin side drafts, and then the TIIs got converted to the fuel injection, BMW's first fuel injection system, the mechanical fuel injection systems. So this is still sitting on a little carburetor, but it goes. It's such a fun car to drive. Carbureted cars I always enjoy because the responsiveness of the carb and the noises you get from it. But I think the next upgrade we're definitely going to have to do is a set of side drafts, just like you guys saw in my Ford Capri. I think the set of side drafts will change the whole dynamic in driving of the vehicle, and also the noise of the vehicle. The side drafts just give a whole different aspect to the driving experience in terms of the induction noise and also the power as well. So these engines made 130 horsepower from factory, and they were really good, good little engines, and they were really reliable. As you can see, it's sitting with it's using a distributor with a coil, but it's been converted to an electronic ignition system, so it adds a bit of more reliability, getting rid of the points and condenser system, which I still have running on the Capri, which always gives me issues. So having that system in place really helps with a bit of the reliability of the engine. It's really simple. I mean, you've got your radiator, you've got your alternator here, you've got your battery here. The brake booster is really tiny on this car, but it works and it's good. The accelerator pedal situation was actually really interesting to me. It does not use an accelerator cable. It uses a whole linkage system connected to the carb, so there's no cable involved there. And also with the clutch, it's using a hydraulic clutch, which was really cool for me to find out on a 1969 car. Like my Ford Capri and all the Fords we work on all use cables. So it's really cool to see that BMW were really innovating things back then. The engine has been a full restoration. The guy who had the car before was a German fella who did the full restoration on the vehicle. So he did a nut and bolt restoration on this. As you can see, all the new zinc plated bolts Over here on the reservoir, all the bolts have been redone. Engine's been fully rebuilt. Radiators had a full recon, and then all new firms over here, and everything's been done really well on the vehicle. As I said before, this car is a 4-speed gearbox. It's the original BMW 4-speed. It does the job. I don't like the 2nd to 3rd ratio. It's quite long. The gear is quite long, but it moves, it goes. I think in the future, maybe the best swap would be a 5-speed swap from the E30. The M10 engine was carried through the E21 and E30 platforms, so the 5-speed from the E30 can swap in here. So I think that would be a good swap for the future, but currently, right now, I think the 4-speed's perfectly fine. It's a little bit sloppy, but it gets the job done. Gearbox has had a full recon and recondition, so it's perfectly good. You can hear it doesn't make any noises. It gets into gear and it's really smooth getting into gear. The suspension on this car has been fully rebuilt. New suspension in the front and rear, new shocks front and rear, and also the rear diff has had a recon, and the side shafts have been done as well. So if you look underneath this car, everything looks brand new. The guy who did the restoration on this car did a very good job, and we were fortunate to be able to acquire a vehicle like this. The only problem we actually had in terms of the engine side is the carburetor. So when we first got the vehicle, my dad and I did a test drive, and the salesman said just keep the choke on, so we did that. And we drove with the choke on, it's fine. As soon as you turn the choke off, the idle gets absolutely messed up. And my dad and I, as we were driving home, the car cut out. So we then took out the carburetor, we tried to recon it ourselves, we cleaned out everything, we put it back on. We went through about 3 days of doing this, and it made differences, but not to the extent we wanted it to. So eventually we just said strip the carb, and we sent it to some guys that we have who recon carbs for us. They did a full recondition, they put it on their test bench and bolted it onto an engine and set the idle and everything for us. They sent it back to us and we bolted it on, and the car's been perfectly fine since then. We did it about Thursday, it's Saturday now, and the car's been running fine. I've done quite a lot of test drives with it and I'm really happy. The carb, it's a tiny carb, but it gets the job done. This was a stock carb, so I think it's really cool that I get to experience the car as it did in 1969, and then I can get to do my changes as I do with all the vehicles and make my changes here and there. But that's it from the engine bay side. I'm going to be hopping into the inside and showing you guys the interior now. So as you can see, I'm on the inside of the vehicle. The inside has had a full recon done, so the seats were rewrapped in genuine leather. Rear seats, all the door cards were also done as well, and you can see the dash has been rewrapped, so it's not the dash is not original obviously, but it's been rewrapped to a very high quality and I'm very happy with it. We've got an original BMW shifter here, which I find really cool. It's got the BMW logo there, and then as you can see on the steering wheel, this isn't an original BMW steering wheel. It is a Personal, which is a very high quality brand. They supply a lot to the vintage car market. Personal is one of my, I think they make really good looking classic steering wheels, and it's got the original BMW badge in the center here. Still running the original cluster. This is the cluster without the rev counter. So instead of having a rev counter, it's got a clock, because that's much more important. You need to know the time when owning a car like this, because obviously you're going to a lot of business meetings. You don't want to know how fast you're going and what your revs are. But yeah, so this is fitted with the clock, the speeder gauge, temp gauge, and fuel gauge. The fuel gauge is a huge thing for me. I'm so excited that it works, because all of our classic cars, they all have problems with the fuel gauge. Our Beetle, that I think you guys might have seen in a video, the fuel gauge shows, when it shows halfway, it means it's full. And as for the F100, Capri, and Escort, none of them have working fuel gauges. We just put a stick inside the fuel tank and hope it's full of fuel. But yeah, so this has a working fuel gauge. That is, some of you might be thinking I'm crazy, but that is a huge thing for me, that it works. It's an amazing thing. The temp gauge works as well, which is a really cool thing. The car runs quite cool. It's got a bigger radiator. There's not much to it, but yeah, the interior is absolutely stunning on this car. The roofline is still in very good condition. It's got the original grab handles in the rear, and if you join me on this side of the car here, See here, this is a really cool feature to me. So on the E30s, the E36s, our E46 has it, the M3. The E46 is an electronic one. You'll pull up a window button and this whole rear glass pops out. But this one is much more cool to me. It's really simple to use. You hop in, you unhook this, and this glass pops open and stays like that. I find this to be really cool. It's a really niche little thing. This is why I like the classic BMWs more than the Fords, because they do little things like this, which I find really cool. A pop-up window, and it reseals perfectly. There's no water leakage. We actually took the car for a full wash and polish this morning, but yeah, I find this feature really cool. It's really cool to see that. I only thought they had them in the E30s onwards, so I didn't actually know that that was a thing on the 2002. But yeah, that's all for the interior. I'm going to be taking you guys to the boot quickly and showing you that setup. Okay, so as you guys can see, you can clearly fit a lot in this boot. I'm not saying that they use this to store bodies in the car, but I mean, clearly there's enough space. So it's got a huge boot. I was really surprised to see this. I think the main thing is the opening. The whole boot comes up, so you can fit a lot of luggage capacity in here, as opposed to like an Escort or a Capri. That's what I keep comparing it to, because that's all I can compare it to. But you've got so much room in this boot. It makes it really easy for travel as well. I would happily take this car to Durban. You'd probably be sitting at like 120, 130 all the way there. But it'd be a fun ride, and I think it would make it there, hopefully. But yeah, that's it for the boot, and I'm just going to take you through the exterior of the car quickly. So as you can see, this is finished off in an absolutely beautiful pastel blue, if I'm not mistaken. That is the OEM color of the car. It's one of my favorite BMW colors that I've seen in person. I've only seen it in pictures. In pictures, it doesn't really do it justice. When you see the color in person, it has so much pop to it. And it's such a different classic color that you see. It's a really old school looking color, which I love. The car is fitted with 185 7013s. These are an original BMW wheel. I'm not 100% sure on the name, to be very honest with you. I haven't seen them fitted to a lot of cars, so finding the name was a bit hard. If I do keep these on, I think they're a really cool looking wheel. They're definitely different. You don't see them on a lot of BMWs, especially classic BMWs. But if I did have to put a set of wheels, I would have to go BBS RS or a set of old school Momo mesh style finished wheels. I really love that old school racing looking wheel. So if I did have to put a set of wheels, I would do that. As for the front of the vehicle, as you can see, this lovely chrome bumper over here. Don't get me wrong, I do love the old school look of the vehicle, but I will have to take off the front bumper. I'm a big fan of it, but I think the turbo front bumper looks so much better. So I think if we had to take this out, we definitely have to add the turbo front to the car. Fun fact, the 2002 was the first European turbo car to ever be made. So this is where European turbo cars stem from as well. So for all of you haters who say that the F80 M3 should have never been turboed, BMW were turboing cars back in the 60s and 70s. So they kind of went back to turboing. They never really just started with a new thing, for those of you who don't like new BMW turbo cars. So yeah, I think this front bumper definitely needs to be taken off. It looks really good, it gives it a classic look, but the turbo front end, I'll pop up a picture quickly. That for me is one of the best looking front ends to this car. So I think you can ship them from the UK. You can get a full fiberglass front fender, front bumper, and it looks really good. So I think aesthetic wise, I just do the front bumper and the wheels. And then as for the rear of the vehicle, you can just follow me here. The rear of the vehicle, I do love the classic looking bumper, but I would have to take off these bumper guards and probably just run a straight metal finish over there, because it does look really good in the rear. I would not do any chrome delete. A lot of guys do that on the 2002s. I'm against it quite a lot. I think the fact that BMW incorporated so much chrome into the car, it looks amazing. It complements the color of the car and the interior of the car. It just gives it that classic look, but I just want to make it look a little bit more sporty. I find it really cool that this chrome finish over here goes around the whole car completely. It's something that you don't see a lot in cars these days. Manufacturers don't put a lot of detail into cars, and that's why I love these older cars so much. They're elegant, but they put so much detail into the little things, and that's what I love. So that's the end of this video. I've taken you through the full car. We're going to be taking you on a quick road test and then showing you guys how it is from the inside of the cabin. Okay, so as you guys can see, we are currently in the car. We're just going to take it on a quick drive around the block, show you guys how it drives, how it feels, the road noise, and creaks that you get from a car from the 60s. But it drives pretty good. It's smooth for an old car. I think the fact that all the suspension and everything that was done, that helps a lot. It gets rid of the hardness that you get from like shocks that are completely shot and things like that. So it is a really smooth ride. I think they did put polyurethane diff bushes. I can feel them because like in our E46 M3 that we have, we did the same thing, and when you're letting go of the clutch, you rarely hear a lot of the diff noises because everything's more solid like a race car. So I think they did do that to this car. So it does get a bit noisy sometimes, especially at low speeds, but once you're up and running, it's fine. Yeah. So it's not the fastest thing on the road by any margin, obviously. It's a little four-cylinder, NA four-cylinder, but it goes. Once you get up in the res, you can really ring it out. That's the thing I like about all cars. I'm sure a lot of you know, like if you have a newer BMW and you want to go do, really rip on it, it's going to give you a lot of issues. It's going to give you overheating problems, drivetrain errors, typical BMW things. But BMW back in the day, they built cars that you could really enjoy and you wouldn't have a lot of issues with. So I think that's a big thing with this car, is that, and most older cars, you can really just enjoy them and go. I'm just going to put my window up quickly for wind noise, and then we're just going to hop on a main road here and show you guys what it's like to drive. But the clutch is really good. It has a good biting point. Brakes are really good. I think the brakes were reconned in the front and rear. This car's running discs in the front and drums in the rear, but it has really good braking force. It is an older car, so it's lighter and there's not much weight to have to brake. So I mean, it goes. I have no idea how fast we're going. The speedo isn't connected, but it goes. They have a good biting force because the car is so light, so there's no need to brake extremely hard. That's the thing I like about older cars though, is that they're so light, you don't have to have the best brakes. You don't have to have like four-part Woolwood brakes. You can just do with 2 parts in the front and drums in the rear, and it goes fine. So that's foot flat in second to third. Yeah, I think once we add the side drafts, it will definitely add a lot more character to the car. It is pretty quiet in the cabin. I think the ceiling on all the trims and stuff does a lot. It really takes away a lot of the road noise, because I know in like my Capri, I mean, you hear a lot of road noise. So this car is pretty quiet inside, and the idle's really low, so you don't hear it too much. Sometimes I have to press the accelerator to make sure that it's on. But yeah, it's it goes. Yeah, as I said, I think the side drafts will make a big difference to the car. The side drafts in a cam, I think that's the side drafts in a cam would make the biggest difference. But I think the main thing for me is the nimbleness of the car. Like, you can really throw it around the corner and it'll grip up, and you can feel the car through a corner. You can really just throw it in and hope it sticks. It's not making crazy power, so it's not going to spin out on you. It has big enough tires for the car, so if you want grip, it'll grip. Yeah, it goes. But as of now, I think this is like the perfect daily. I mean, I can drive this car every day. It's so comfortable to drive. That's the main thing for me. Usually older cars, it's a bit more of an effort to drive every day, but this car is just so easy to drive. And it's really nimble. So yeah. I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. We didn't have much to talk about as it's not one of my project cars. I kind of took you through someone else's build. But yeah, there's not going to be too much content on this car. There's going to be things here and there. But I'll keep you guys updated through the process of this vehicle. I'm going to be trying to post more often, as I did say in the last video I posted. So hopefully you guys enjoy the content that we have coming up. We have a lot of E30 content that's going to be getting posted soon. That's another big project. I know I've posted a lot of the car and it's still not running, but it's getting there slowly. So we're just going to be waiting for that to get done. And then yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and tune in for the next one.